The rain tapped gently against the window pane of my small apartment in Des Moines. It was just past midnight, but I was wide awake, fingers hovering over the keyboard as I logged into my tutoring portal. For the next few hours, I'd help a dozen high school students grapple with algebra and grammar. Sleep was a luxury I couldn't afford. Growing up, I learned early that life wasn't fair. My parents, Mark and Dana Reyes, had always showered my younger sister Camilla with praise and support. Her ballet recitals were filled with cheering crowds and sparkling costumes, while I patched my own bike tires and made do with hand-me-down clothes. The contrast wasn't just financial, it was emotional. Camilla was the golden child, and I was the one left in the shadows. When I got accepted to the University of Wisconsin-Madison, I hoped things would change. I imagined my parents' pride, their encouragement. Instead, the truth hit me like a cold slap. The savings account I thought was mine to fund tuition had been drained, spent on Camilla's expensive performing arts program in New York City. The family investment, they called it. I was devastated, but undeterred. I deferred my enrollment, moved to Chicago, and threw myself into work. Dog walking, retail, online, tutoring, anything to scrape together money for my education. I lived in a tiny room with a heater that barely worked, but I kept going. During lunch breaks, I taught myself digital marketing, dreaming of building a better future on my own terms. By the time I finally enrolled at UW-Madison, I had earned a partial scholarship and started a small digital agency helping local artisans establish an online presence. The business grew, and so did my confidence. I was no longer just Camilla's overlooked sister, I was carving my own path. Yet the wounds of my childhood lingered. Family dinners were still awkward conversations revolving around Camilla's latest achievement, while I listened quietly. Invitations felt scarce. Calls home came mostly when money was needed, usually for Camilla's next venture. One day, my mother asked me to co-sign a lease for Camilla's new studio apartment in Brooklyn. The justification: she needs space to think creatively. I hesitated, then declined. I have my own dreams to chase, I told her firmly. For the first time, I was standing my ground. The refusal sent a shockwave through our fragile family ties. The next few weeks were tense, filled with cold shoulders and curt phone calls. My parents couldn't understand why I wasn't willing to help my sister. To them, family meant sacrifice without question. But to me, it meant respect and fairness. As I sat late into the night balancing spreadsheets for my growing digital agency and preparing for classes, I felt the weight of loneliness pressing down. Sometimes I questioned if it was worth it pursuing a dream in a world that seemed determined to ignore my worth. One chilly evening after a long day, I received a message from Zoe, my roommate and closest confidant in Chicago. "You're stronger than you think," she wrote. "Don't let them dim your light." Her words were a lifeline. I realized I wasn't alone. My struggle was shared by many those who had to fight for recognition, not just in their careers, but within their own families. Emboldened, I began to speak out more, sharing my story at local meetups and online forums. I connected with women who had faced similar battles of favoritism and invisibility. Together, we formed a support network, a sisterhood of strength. Meanwhile, my business flourished. I landed a contract with a nonprofit helping immigrant artisans sell their crafts online. The success wasn't just financial, it was a testament to my resilience and ingenuity. Yet the divide with my family remained. A letter from my father arrived one day thanking me for keeping the family afloat. It was a stark reminder that to them I was valued only as a resource. I crumpled the letter, then folded it carefully. My value wasn't defined by their expectations. In that moment, I vowed to keep fighting not just for myself, but for every second daughter who had been overlooked. The next semester was the hardest yet. Balancing college coursework, managing my fledgling digital marketing agency, and working 3 jobs left me drained. Yet each challenge pushed me further. I wasn't just surviving, I was building something real. In the depths of winter, I sat in the university library surrounded by textbooks and empty coffee cups, preparing for an important pitch to potential clients. This wasn't just about business, it was my lifeline. Success here meant independence. One afternoon, a message popped up on my phone. It was from a community outreach coordinator at a local nonprofit. They wanted help promoting an artisan collective of immigrant women trying to sell handmade goods online. The project resonated deeply with me. It combined my passion for digital marketing with a cause that gave voice to the unheard. Over the following months, I worked tirelessly. Creating websites, managing social media, organizing virtual markets, I poured my heart into every detail. The project's success was a beacon attracting media attention and opening doors to new clients. Amid this whirlwind, I got a call from my mother. She spoke cautiously, even apologetically. "Camilla's struggling with her thesis. Maybe you could help?" Her tone was different, less demanding, more uncertain. I hesitated. The past hadn't been easy, and wounds still throbbed beneath the surface. But I realized this was a chance not just to help my sister, but to bridge a gap long ignored. We started with late-night video calls. Slowly, the walls between us softened. Camilla wasn't just the favored child, she was a young woman grappling with her own fears and pressures. Our relationship, once strained and distant, began to heal. Graduation day arrived like a dream. I stood at the podium delivering the valedictorian speech I'd written late into countless nights. My voice steadied as I shared not only my academic journey, but the resilience forged through hardship and neglect. My parents sat silently near the back, their faces unreadable. But as I looked out at the sea of supportive friends, mentors, and strangers, I felt an overwhelming sense of victory, not just over circumstances, but over doubt and invisibility. Afterward, a reporter approached me with a proposal, a feature on my work, and my story of overcoming family favoritism. It was an opportunity to amplify not only my voice but those of countless others. That night, as I lay in bed, the city lights twinkling outside, I finally understood success wasn't about winning their approval. It was about owning my truth and shining in my own right. The gray skies of Chicago welcomed me with their familiar chill as I stepped off the bus dragging a battered suitcase filled with dreams and doubts. The city was a labyrinth of noise and motion, a sharp contrast to the quiet suburbs of Kansas City I had left behind. Here, in this sprawling urban maze, I would forge my new path alone but determined. My tiny apartment was nestled in a rundown building on the edge of a bustling neighborhood. The heater sputtered weakly against the winter cold, and the walls bore the faint stains of years past. It was far from the polished dorm rooms of my classmates, but it was mine. Each morning, I awoke before dawn preparing for a day that would stretch beyond exhaustion. I juggled 3 jobs: dog walking in the park, cashiering at a retail store, and tutoring online from my cramped desk. Between shifts, I stole moments to study digital marketing, devouring articles and tutorials, piecing together knowledge like a puzzle. Money was tight. Meals were often meager, supplemented by coupons and the generosity of a food pantry a few blocks away. Friends were scarce, but those I had became pillars of support. Zoe, my roommate, who shared her laughter and late-night coffee. Mr. Patel, the kind bookstore owner who offered me discounts and wise words. And Professor Lane, who believed in my potential even when I faltered. Despite the hardships, I found purpose in my small victories. Landing my first freelance client felt like crossing a threshold. The smile of a student who finally grasped algebra after hours of tutoring was a balm to my weary soul. But shadows from home lingered. Calls from my parents carried undertones of entitlement and resentment. Their words reminded me of the chasm growing wider between us, a gulf filled with unspoken grievances and expectations unmet. One evening, after a grueling day, I sat curled on the worn couch, scrolling through job listings. A notification caught my eye, a scholarship opportunity for transfer students demonstrating financial need and academic excellence. It was a long shot, but hope flickered. I spent nights crafting essays recounting my journey, my struggles, and my aspirations. When acceptance came, it was more than financial aid, it was validation. Chicago had tested me, but it had not broken me. It was here that I learned resilience was not just enduring hardship, but growing because of it. The hum of the city outside my apartment was a constant companion, but inside silence often settled like a heavy fog. The distance between me and my family wasn't just miles, it was years of unspoken words, hurt, and unmet expectations. Camilla's life, as I had come to understand it, was a curated series of Instagram posts and curated successes. Ballet recitals, designer dresses, and a steady stream of compliments from family friends painted a picture of perfection. But beneath the gloss, there were cracks I only glimpsed in rare moments. I sent her letters filled with encouragement and practical advice tips on managing stress, reminders to take breaks, even small gifts that spoke of care. Sometimes I received brief replies, often none at all. The silence stung more than any harsh word. My parents were another matter entirely. Calls came sporadically, usually with requests rather than concern. "Can you help with the lease?" my mother asked one evening, voice hesitant but firm. Camilla wanted to rent a studio in Brooklyn, an opportunity they insisted was essential for her creativity. I took a deep breath. "I can't," I said quietly. "I have my own expenses to manage." The line went silent. I imagined the disappointment, the frustration emotions they never fully voiced. That night, I sat by the window, the city lights blurred by rain. I wondered how two sisters born to the same parents could lead such different lives. Was it luck, favoritism, or something deeper, a divide that might never close? But I refused to let bitterness consume me. My life was my own, and I would build it on foundations of my choosing, not on the shifting sands of family approval. Soon, an opportunity arrived that would change everything: acceptance into a prestigious business incubator program in Austin, Texas. It was a chance to grow my digital agency and surround myself with innovators and dreamers. Packing my bags, I felt a mixture of hope and apprehension. The journey ahead was uncertain, but it was mine to take. Austin welcomed me with its warm breeze and buzzing energy, a stark contrast to the cold, gray streets of Chicago I had left behind. The city was alive with innovation dreams and people like me chasing something bigger than themselves. The business incubator was a whirlwind of ideas, late nights, and relentless feedback. Surrounded by founders with passion and grit, I pushed my digital marketing agency beyond what I thought possible. I learned to pitch confidently, craft compelling narratives, and connect with clients who shared my values. Then came the night of the Tech Forward Conference, a gathering of venture capitalists, tech leaders, and entrepreneurs eager to discover the next big thing. My heart raced as I stepped onto the stage in my modest navy suit, the spotlight both intimidating and exhilarating. Taking a deep breath, I launched into my presentation. I spoke of resilience, innovation, and community, the driving forces behind my work. The audience responded with enthusiasm, their applause ringing in my ears long after I stepped down. That night, as I sat with other young founders at a networking event, I was approached by a journalist from Tech Pulse Media. She wanted to feature my story in their Top 30 Founders Under 30 issue. Recognition was sweet, but it was also a reminder of how far I had come from the overlooked girl in Kansas City to a rising star in the tech world. Yet amidst the celebrations, a call from home pulled me back to reality. Austin welcomed me with its warm breeze and buzzing energy, a stark contrast to the cold, gray streets of Chicago I had left behind. The city was alive with innovation dreams and people like me chasing something bigger than themselves. The business incubator was a whirlwind of ideas, late nights, and relentless feedback. Surrounded by founders with passion and grit, I pushed my digital marketing agency beyond what I thought possible. I learned to pitch confidently, craft compelling narratives, and connect with clients who shared my values. Then came the night of the Tech Forward Conference, a gathering of venture capitalists, tech leaders, and entrepreneurs eager to discover the next big thing. My heart raced as I stepped onto the stage in my modest navy suit, the spotlight both intimidating and exhilarating. Taking a deep breath, I launched into my presentation. I spoke of resilience, innovation, and community, the driving forces behind my work. The audience responded with enthusiasm, their applause ringing in my ears long after I stepped down. That night, as I sat with other young founders at a networking event, I was approached by a journalist from Tech Pulse Media. She wanted to feature my story in their Top 30 Founders Under 30 issue. Recognition was sweet, but it was also a reminder of how far I'd come from the overlooked girl in Kansas City to a rising star in the tech world. Yet, amidst the celebrations, a call from home pulled me back to reality. Graduation day dawned clear and bright, the campus alive with celebration and anticipation. As I adjusted the tassel on my cap, a swirl of emotions washed over me: relief, pride, and a lingering shadow of the battles fought along the way. Taking the stage to deliver the valedictorian speech was both an honor and a challenge. The microphone felt heavy in my hand, but my voice carried strong and steady as I recounted the journey not just of academic achievement, but of overcoming doubt, neglect, and inequality. I spoke of the power of perseverance and the importance of defining success on one's own terms. The applause that followed was thunderous, a balm to years of silent struggle. Afterward, a reporter approached with an offer to feature my story in a national magazine focused on women entrepreneurs. The opportunity to inspire others was the greatest reward. Backstage, my parents lingered. For the first time, their expressions softened not just pride in my accomplishments, but a dawning respect for the woman I had become. That evening, as I sat with Zoe and a few close friends, I felt a sense of belonging I had long sought. The family I had chosen, the people who saw me, valued me, and cheered me on. The road had been long and winding, but the destination was worth every step. The weeks after graduation were filled with exhilarating change. I moved to Seattle, accepting a position at a forward-thinking digital marketing firm focused on sustainable brands. The city's vibrant tech scene and natural beauty invigorated me, inspiring new ideas and ambitions. My days were packed with client meetings, brainstorming sessions, and learning curves that pushed me beyond my comfort zone. I thrived in the fast-paced environment, earning respect for my creativity and work ethic. Outside work, I built a circle of friends who shared my values: activists, artists, and entrepreneurs passionate about making a difference. With them, I explored hiking trails, indie music venues, and cozy cafes where deep conversations sparked. Yet even amid success, echoes from the past occasionally surfaced. A text from my mother, a fleeting call from my father, reminders that family was a complicated thread woven into my story. One evening, a surprise invitation arrived, a networking gala organized by the University Alumni Association. The guest of honor. A keynote speech from the university president celebrating graduates who had overcome adversity. I was asked to speak to share my story once more, not just as a testament to personal triumph, but as a beacon for others navigating difficult paths. Standing under the sparkling chandeliers, I spoke with conviction about resilience, identity, and the courage to define one's own success. Afterward, a young woman approached me, tears in her eyes. "Your story gave me hope," she whispered. "Thank you." In that moment, I knew my journey was bigger than me. It was a thread in a larger tapestry of strength and renewal. Months passed as I settled into my new life in Seattle. The city's pulse matched my own, dynamic, vibrant, full of possibility. Yet the complexities of family remained an undercurrent beneath the surface of my successes. My relationship with my parents was cautious, marked by polite conversations and deliberate boundaries. They called occasionally, their voices tinged with both regret and hope for reconciliation. I listened, but guarded my heart, unwilling to reopen old wounds without real change. Camilla and I grew closer, our late-night talks evolving from tentative exchanges to genuine connection. We shared hopes, fears, and dreams once buried beneath sibling rivalry and family politics. One weekend, she visited Seattle. We wandered through the Pike Place Market, laughing and sharing stories like old friends. The fragile bridge between us was strengthening, built on understanding rather than expectation. At work, I took on a leadership role, mentoring young women starting their careers in tech and marketing. Guiding others was rewarding, a way to pay forward the support I'd received. But I also learned the importance of boundaries, knowing when to say no, when to protect my time and energy. Growth wasn't just about reaching outward, it was about tending to the self. Through it all, I embraced the paradox of family love, intertwined with challenge, connection, balanced with independence. The community I found in Seattle grew beyond my expectations. I joined local groups advocating for women in business and technology, sharing my story openly to inspire others facing similar struggles. Workshops, panels, and mentorship programs became part of my routine. Each session was a reminder that no one achieves success alone. The bonds forged through shared hardship created a network of resilience and empowerment. I also began collaborating with nonprofits supporting underserved youth, developing digital campaigns that amplified their voices and stories. Through these efforts, I found purpose beyond personal achievement, a calling to uplift others and build lasting change. Yet challenges persisted. Moments of doubt and exhaustion surfaced, but the support around me was a steady anchor. When old family tensions resurfaced unexpectedly, an argument over a misunderstood text message, I leaned on my friends and mentors to navigate the emotional turbulence. Solidarity was no longer just a word. It was the foundation of my healing and growth. Standing on the balcony of my Seattle apartment, I watched the city lights flicker against the darkening sky. The journey from a forgotten sister overshadowed by family favoritism to a confident woman carving her own path felt surreal. I thought back to the nights spent juggling jobs, the silent dinners, the cold calls from parents demanding favors. Those moments had forged a resilience I hadn't known I possessed. Now, as a leader, mentor, and entrepreneur, I embraced my story fully, not as a burden, but as a source of strength. Family had changed too. Camilla and I found peace in imperfect understanding. My parents, though distant, had begun to see me for who I truly was. The path ahead remained uncertain, but for the first time, it was mine alone to choose. With a deep breath, I stepped inside, ready to face whatever came next. The life I reclaimed was more than success, it was freedom.